Welcome back to another episode of Projecting Grandeur. I'm your host, Ron Dichter. I want to talk today about a lunch I had earlier this week. So I had lunch with 4 people, 2 of which were friends of mine, both business owners, and 2 of them were friends of the friends that I had never met before. But all 5 of us were business owners, and it was a really interesting conversation. The 2 folks that I know have pretty established businesses. They've been doing it for at least 7 and maybe even more than 10 years. And the other 2 people that were with them, one had just started. They were in their first 6 months of starting a managed IT professional services company, and the other one was starting out a software development company focused on the manufacturing space. And so the 5 of us were sitting there talking, and it was just pleasantries in the beginning, but as we started to get comfortable with each other and familiar with kind of each other's background, inevitably what happened is the 2 people that were just getting started were looking to the 3 of us for advice. And as I started to talk to them, I was just kind of listening to the conversation unfold, and one of the things that stood out to me is that they were talking about kind of what they hoped to accomplish financially, but that didn't give me any insight into why they were starting the business in the first place. And so I started to talk to the guy who was into the managed IT professional services, because I have some familiarity in that space, and I just started to ask him, why did you decide to start your own business in the first place? And he had told me that the company that he worked for, which was in the same industry, he just got tired of the way that it was run and tired of not being paid in his mind what he was worth. And so he started the business because he felt he could do it better and make more money. And that was his why, and kind of why he started. And then the other guy that was getting into the software development, I had asked him kind of, why are you getting started? And he had said, well, SaaS businesses have the best multiple, and if I build this and I'm successful, I can sell it for 10 times revenue. And I said, well, what about the product? Like, what are you trying to solve here? What's the goal? And he explained it, but he seemed more excited about the exit than he did about the product or the service, that he was, or the void he was filling. And it got me thinking during that lunch, and I kind of went home that night and was just kind of thinking about things. And the next morning during my workout, which tends to be really my best time for kind of vision thinking and future thinking, I was just thinking about my lunch again. And I was thinking about the 2 guys that, one that had just started the business, one that was about to start. And I thought, if their whole vision of why they're doing this is because they want to make money, like, how successful is that business going to be? And is there something there that might be missed because their sole attention is on, how do I make a lot of money? And it got me really fired up internally about why do people embark on business? Because business is hard, right? And there's a lot of unknowns and uncertainty. And the guy that used to work at the professional services company or the managed IT company, he was making really good money at his prior position, but didn't feel it was enough. And he went from a steady paycheck of must have been, I don't know, just somewhere $250,000 a year to nothing. And for him to get to that place, sure, he can map it out from a sales perspective, but I don't think he fully appreciates the other things that he's going to have to become good at in order for that to actually happen. And so when you think about why you want to do something, it's really important to understand what's the reason. What's something that you see that you want to manifest to make happen in that business? And what is something that's really important to you? Because if it's just making money, I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that's enough motivation. I mean, sure, it's motivation to make money, but making money comes as a result of building a good business. And if your sole attention is just making the money, I don't know that you have enough attention focused on the vehicle that you're going to need to drive to actually get to that result. And I began thinking about that more and more as like in my own life and like why I'm starting a new business, because I was in a similar situation where I didn't have to go and do this again, but for me, it wasn't about making money. For me, it was about creating something impactful that could move, not just one business, but really make a movement, in an industry. And that was my why. And, I think a lot of times what ends up happening with people is they start to either have a keep up with the Joneses mentality, where they see somebody either at a company that they work for that started that company that's making more money, and it's easy to sit there in your view, especially if you're in a revenue generating position, to say, oh, well, I'm generating X dollars for the business, yet I'm only making, like let's just say you're generating $2 million a year for the business, but you're making $250,000. It's really easy for you to say, well, there's $1.75 million I'm leaving on the table that I'm making this company with my efforts. And that's a very dangerous position to put yourself in, because what you're not seeing is what had to happen before, what groundwork had to be laid in order for you as the sales representative to have the ability to generate $2 million in revenue. You also don't have a full appreciation on, what the downstream, requirements are for that $2 million in revenue to be realized. And so I just want to make sure that when you get into, starting your own business, that you're really thinking about things as to why you're really doing this, and understanding, what it is you're hoping to accomplish. And don't get caught in this trap, because if it's not keeping up with the Joneses, the other thing that people, tend to get stuck on is that they feel like they're supposed to be doing something, because of whether it's your school, whether it's your upbringing, whether it's your, self-belief that you should be doing something different. Like, do those things because you want to do them, not because you think somebody wants you to do them for you. Because we get really tied up when we start thinking about, I need to do this because somebody thinks I should do this, or I need to do this because, this is what, the world wants me to do. And, I have a really good friend from early on in my life that I've unfortunately not stayed in touch with, and which is a mental reminder that I need to reach out to them. But it was a really good friend of mine in high school, and very smart guy, very, very driven. And at one point in his life, whether it was in college or shortly thereafter, he had decided that he wanted to be an artisan, and he wanted to make ceramics. And he had a real passion for it and was very talented, but he didn't go chase that passion, because he went to school and was told, well, you got to go either get a job or build a business so that you can have the financial freedom, for you and your family. But he didn't have a strong desire, and for probably the next 15 years, he worked in a professional environment, was miserable, hated every part about it. And then at one day, he just kind of woke up and said, you know what? This is not what I've been put on this earth to do. And he realized for the last decade and a half, all he was doing was what other people had told him he should be doing, which is going and building a career for yourself, and not having the willingness to go chase what you're passionate about, go chase something that's big. And so this must have been about 10 years ago now. He left his career. He had a wife and kids, so scary proposition. And he ended up starting a ceramic shop, small at first, really just trying to, get a name for himself. And slowly but surely it grew. And today he has a chain of 10 ceramic stores, all with products that either he had made or from different artisans like him. And he's never been happier. Again, I haven't talked to him in a bit of time here, so I need to reach back out to him. But last time I talked to him, he was so happy and so excited about his career, and there was a lot of risk. But the reason he started that business is because he was passionate. He believed in something, and he probably, looking back, wishes he did that straight out of college instead of spending 15 years trying to build a career in something that made him absolutely miserable. And my words of advice are really, do things because you want to do them. Do things because you believe that they are important to you, but don't start doing things because you're told that this is what you're supposed to do in your life, and this is, the way you're supposed to be operating, because you're going to end up miserable. And even if you have money, even if you're lucky enough that you do start a business and you do make a ton of money, are you fulfilled? Are you happy? Because, that old adage of money can't buy happiness, I believe to be very true. And obviously money certainly makes things easier, and it certainly gives you and affords you the ability to do other things. The question is, at what cost? At what cost is that making money preventing you from, going after, what you're truly passionate about, or going after what you're focused on? So circling back to my lunch that I had with these guys, like, I gave them, my best advice on how to get started and what to focus on, and the pitfalls and the challenges. But I would be remiss if I didn't at least have some concern that, the reason that they're doing this is going to leave them feeling very unfulfilled and very much in a place where, they probably, are gonna start questioning it. So, do things for you. Do things that make you motivated. Do things that you believe have a way of making you happy. And it's easy to say the money will come, but if you have an idea or you have something that you're very passionate about, the chances of you being successful in that versus just going out to a business and saying, I just want to go make a lot of money, are pretty high. So remember this as you're starting out. Remember this if you're already in the trenches doing this. Do it for you. Not because someone wants you to do it. Do it for you. Have a good day. I'm Ron Dichter.